Welcome back to Shooting the Bull. I'm Ken Hendricks. Today, I want you to know 8 things every cow owner should know about working cows. The first thing you need to know is that cows are a fight or flight animal. Just like most wild animals, if you put pressure on them, then they make a decision that they're either going to run away or they're going to charge towards you. And that's the number one tool in understanding how to work cattle, determining if they're about to fight you or if they're going to run away and how to make them do those two different things. Number 2, calves are stupid, but that's okay. When working animals, calves don't know the first thing about fight or flight. I'm sure it's genetically built in, but they're still learning the process of how to judge different things, and they don't react the same way that adult, mature cows do. Calves will hurt you faster than mature animals because you're not sure how to judge or read what they're doing. I always assume they're stupid and that they're going to try to kill me if given an option, and it generally works out best. But I've still been kicked and run over by calves who just don't know how to think and process their situations very well yet. This can be to your advantage though. When sorting mama cows from baby cows, you can do something as simple as having 2 lanes. You stand in the middle. The mama cows will come by you on the side that you are closest to because they're not as afraid of you. Even the ones that are skittish will tend to still come by you. Meanwhile, calves will turn around and back off because they're not interested in being close to you. It usually takes very small movements from you to cut the calf where you would like it to go. Number 3, quiet is usually best. I'm sure you've seen lots of rodeo or you've seen westerns where there's gunfire and hollering and whistling and hooping and making all kinds of noise. And there is a time for that in the cattle industry for moving animals a particular way. But most of the time, the quieter you can be while working cattle, the more effective you can be. So I often work cows with a variety of a few sounds. I'll snap. Simple snapping gets their attention and puts a little small amount of pressure on them for them to move away from me. Other times I'll kiss at them or cluck my tongue to get them moving. I'm not trying to make them run. I just want them to move away from me at a steady pace. Another thing that I sometimes do if I really need to get one's attention is a simple clap. I don't clap repetitively a lot unless I'm trying to move a whole herd. Now, if a whole herd has gotten packed up in a lane, I'm trying to get the front animals that I can't reach to continue to move. Sometimes then I'll hoop, holler, or clap repeatedly. I prefer the clapping repeatedly simply because it doesn't get the animals overall worked up as much while still creating enough noise to move the front of the line on around the lane where I'm trying to work them to. Speaking of lanes, Number 4, having an effectively laid out lane is always better than the best cow handler around. If you have your lane effectively designed for animals to be able to move in a normal way for them, then it makes it so much easier to work cattle. Stay away from sharp corners. Instead, have them be able to always rotate around and go through a circular pattern of curves or to even cut back down another lane beside the one they're at as you sort animals about. Those things are huge in being able to move animals the way you want to. It's also a big deal if you can bring animals into a lane without them knowing they've been caught and be able to close them up, then back feed them around. It makes sorting animals 100 times easier than trying to move the whole herd and cut this one out in a circle or old round pen or those kinds of things. Lane design is key. Number 5, turn the head, turn the cow. It's true. If you've ever driven down the road, you cannot turn your head and look off the side of the road for an extended period of time without also driving your car that direction. The way you look sets the course of the direction for your life. It's also true about an animal. If you get that animal's head going a specific direction, then you know what that animal is going to do. Many times I've had animals coming towards me that were maybe not even high strung, but were coming at me going the wrong direction. I can do something as simple as tapping them on the nose, popping a whip near their head, or flagging a flag near their face, making that head turn, and then their body will follow the way that their head turns. And when you learn to turn the head, you've got the rest of the cow right behind it. Number 6, pressure, space, and proximity. The way you apply pressure to an animal dictates where that animal is going to go. And the way you know how to do that is by reading the body language of the animal involved. But first of all, we need to understand what pressure is. Pressure is not hollering, screaming, or even throwing your arms up in the air. Those things do create pressure, but it's usually more than you actually need. Pressure is what simply makes an animal move away from you. So by me moving towards it, it will increase that animal moving in the direction that its head's currently pointing. So if the animal is pointing towards me and I want it to go the opposite direction, or I want it to stop, the easiest way to make it stop is actually to back up. By removing pressure, the animal will stop and oftentimes even rotate direction to the way that I'd like it to go. So stopping putting pressure and allowing space controls the animal just as much as pushing harder and trying to make them go where you want them to go. Learn to read the body language and learn how proximity and space make a difference. One thing I've learned to do is when working cattle, if I want to cut, I walk down the side of the lane with my back often mostly turned to the animal, with my peripheral eye keeping watch in case there's a crazy one, to be able to slide by them, make the cut, then step back out into the lane to provide pressure to the animals that are past me and to the ones in front of me appropriately. Number 7, lead from the front. It goes against the way you naturally think to work animals. But if you can get the front animal to go where you want it to go, the majority of the rest of the animals want to follow. I don't care how crazy they are. If you can get the first animal to go where you want it to go, the others will usually find the way. So it's super important to be able to get those first 2 or 3 animals more than even getting behind the rest of the herd. And your intuition will tell you otherwise. Your intuition will say, I got to get at the back so I can push them where I want them to go. But the truth is, if you get those 3 or 4 to go where you want them to go, even if you have to semi-break the flow of the other animals, they will want to go where those lead cows are. By doing that, you get those lead cows where you want them to go, then you step back and remove pressure. The other animals will usually flow through and follow right where you want to go. Of course, there's always exceptions to every rule. It's not hard and fast, but that leading the front animals will take you much further than trying to push from the back. Number 8, the number one way to read body language is to be able to look at their head and what their eyes, ears, and head is doing. If their head is up high, they are super alert. If their head is down low, they are passive and trying to figure out what to do next. It doesn't mean that a passive animal won't hurt you. They certainly can, but it means they're not in a highly fight stage. They are in a consideration stage, would be maybe a good term for it, in that they're trying to decipher what do you want from me and where can I go to make the right decision. Animals that have their head up high or turn their head towards you as they go by often are the ones you need to watch out for the most, because they're keeping your location very aware and they're staying where they can stab at you very easily. Whereas calves that have their head away from you, they'll move quickly on by. You have no fear of those animals. They're going to go right where you want them to go and push right on past you if you're pushing them by. Even bulls. And bulls can be the most difficult animals to work, but because I highly respect them, I also find them to be somewhat the easiest animals to work because you can read their body language very easily. If they're aggressive and confident, then they're going to come towards you. Simply be aware of that. You can often work them from the outside of the ring, pulling their attention, not necessarily their aggression, but pulling their attention so that they assert their dominance by coming near you and will actually follow you all the way where you want them to go, just about, simply by you walking around the outside of the ring. Now, if you have a bull that's so aggressive he's trying to kill you in that situation, I suggest you follow him right around the ring, onto the trailer, and take him to the barn. But even animals that are good seed stock animals that you're going to keep around for a while sometimes can have a little temper if you get them up and put pressure on them. They're not going to hesitate to use that weight and push you around with it, whether it's through intimidation or through physically running you over. So be wise. Learn to read that, and those animals can actually be easy to work if your lane is set up right and if you know how to read the body language of the animal and what they're saying to you. And that's 8 tips that every person in the cattle industry should know about working cattle. This has been Shooting the Bull. I'm Ken Hendricks. Thanks for shooting the bull. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so that you can get all the latest updates.